seen already the title page, so let's move on. The first page is all about hearing things from people as always we do. So that is how we start off. So here is your typical structure. The typical structure you see in any organization. Somebody at the top and then people flowing the hierarchy going down. Now, the question to you, all of you, is where would you position yourself in this picture? What do you think? Where do you think you are? You could start from the top, you could start from the bottom, wherever you can just help us understand where you are. In your current role, in your current occupation you are in, profession you are in, what do you think you are? Where do you think you are here in the org structure?
Yeah, hi. So this is Milind here.
Yeah.
So basically, if you consider as a portfolio program and the project managers, then the project manager level should be at the level 3. So on the top, there is a portfolio manager, then program managers, and then under that, there are different project managers.
Okay.
That is what I believe. Yeah.
Okay. How many of you are entrepreneurs, owners of their own organization? Where would you put yourself? The CEO, CXO. If you are the owner and you are at the, so what do you think about the CEO of an organization? Do you think he is owning a program or a portfolio? What is your guess? Or you believe that there are people under him or her managing portfolios? Okay, fair enough. I'm giving an interesting twist to this now. So, okay, good. Managing portfolios, he should be in the portfolio. Okay, good to hear. We encourage you to contribute to share your thoughts. We will. It's all about a debate here. And I'm not conducting a training program here now. I'm here to network with all of you, learn from each other. So feel free to share. So this is the response from people who are looking at it at your professional level. Now let me give a twist to this question. Look at this from a different perspective. Okay. Now there is another structure where we are all associated with. Each one of us is associated with another structure. That is our family. So where do you put yourself? We will understand why we are talking about this later, but just let me know. Explain, help me to understand where do you put yourself. Big family, head of the household. In family, we can be anywhere. Sorry, sir, I don't accept the answer anywhere. You have to see yourself and say where you are now. Good. Somebody says he is at the top. Okay, so that means he is the head of the family. Fine. So when somebody says big family, joint family structure, do you sometimes feel you are at the bottom level also? Is that possible? Maybe today or maybe in the past, probably in the past. Okay, good. So now you are able to hopefully understand the, the implicit or the tacit power equations you see according to the structure you have. Now we will relate it to our topic. Good. I hope people are warming up to the topic. So let's see what happens around these definitions. Okay. So this is a common picture which we normally talk about when we look at project portfolio versus programs. Okay. Now there is something in addition which is there on the right hand side. In addition to all this, if anybody of you spotted it, that is this thing. This is the odd guy out here, okay? Compared to other terms what you are all familiar with in the project world. Now, is there a view from your end as to does it make sense to have it here, or do you see it is a mistake? It should not be here. What should it be? What is your view?
My view is that I think operations can be there because there are some projects which start as a project and later on they get converted into operations. So
Hmm.
operations being over there is, I don't think so. It is something which is out of place.
Okay. And it is reporting into a portfolio. Okay. That is how it is represented here. It is part of a portfolio. Okay. Fair enough. That is your view. Is there any difference of opinion with what Advait said? If there anything, let us hear.
It may be also to not reporting the portfolio. It will be standalone, alone the functional department where every portfolio is going and taking help for the project. So it will depend how the organization is set up and
Yeah. So that is the last part. What you said is very important. So this is not just the golden rule or this is the written in stone that everybody should follow this. It's generally structure here. So it depends upon how your organization is evolving, what different businesses you are into. And this is how it will come up. So many of you would be from the IT world, correct? So what happens in IT world? You get into development projects, then you complete it, you go commission it. That's what is called as go live in IT terms. After going live, what happens? There is a transition to either support or operations. Now, when that happens, who takes over the charge of it? So it could be either the client who may be deciding to run that operation for the support part, or very likely nowadays outsourcing being the key. Your own organization may say, no, I can also provide support to that customer. Correct? So have you experienced, all of you have experienced this scenario, very common experience in the IT world, at least. And nowadays in the construction world, I'll help you to relate to it. Many townships are being built, large townships, gated townships, what they call as gated communities. And you have what they call it as the facility management services, right? There are many companies now who are specializing in it. Now, what do? They provide you all those operational activities in a professional way. So that is another example where it can be handed over as operation. So these are all possibilities in organizations. Now the problem here is what? So for that we have to understand now what is the project, what is the program, and what is the portfolio. Then we will debate, does it make sense to have it here or not? We will then go through it. So I'm taking the discussion in the opposite way, triggering some thoughts and then going into the theory part of it, basics of it. So we all know project is defined as something which is a temporary endeavor to deliver something unique. So it is definitely temporary, it should add value, and there should be something unique about it. And project management obviously is the application of all those various facets for you to succeed in the project. Okay, that's part one. So now every assignment you do or every venture you do can be looked at it from a project perspective. Anything which is driving change. Remember this, anything which is driving change can be easily classified as a project, because when I'm driving change, I would definitely have um, a finite budget. I won't have an infinite budget to work with. I would also have a finite timeline to deliver. The limitation of resources is always there. So these are attributes which bring those qualities of a project when I pick up a project. And why I call this as a change agent? Because you need heterogeneous skill sets. You are not looking at some homogeneous skill groups. You are talking about different skill sets you need to come together to make that project a success. So these are some important attributes when you see the attributes of any project which are being executed across the world. So what do you see about the next level there? So what would be a program? So before understanding the definition, let us see if you are doing multiple projects. Okay? Maybe you are running multiple projects, or your organization, your team is running multiple projects, and you also notice that there are a lot of common elements in that. So what are those common elements you could look at? Very common things you normally see is the client base. Okay? You are all delivering projects for the larger, for the client, which could be common in terms of their larger picture, which you are trying to deliver, or it could be in terms of a large product development where you are running multiple projects. Say, for example, you are talking about a new product, like say an electric vehicle, common now, the trending topic around India. So anybody and everybody is developing or researching into electric vehicles, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, all wheelers are coming into that. So do you think that it can be just a project at the top level, the conceptual part of that vehicle? So the end product is got multiple components within that. Yeah, don't worry, slides will always be shared. It is being also being recorded for your benefit. So, so at the top level, you will see that the big product, it's a big vision which you are trying to build, and there are n number of components which are involved, and n number of skill sets, or maybe you could call about domains which are involved in a vehicle. You have got mechanical, electrical, electromechanical, then the battery solution. A lot of things come into play. So the aerodynamics component, design component, aesthetics, user experience, lot of stuff has to be taken care of. So there are two ways to look at it. You may either say everything I am going to do from scratch and I am going to own it and run it. So it could be a project. Since it is a humongous thing, it's natural that it is not be easy for you to manage all the components together at the same time. So you may decide to split it in a discrete form, the components, and that is how the automobiles are all getting done. That's why the assembly line has come into play. So if you look at those assembly lines and understand how things work, you will appreciate that each one becomes a project for those people who are involved. Right from ideation perspective, design, prototyping, then testing, getting it to commercialization. And for that company who is going to launch it, the establishment of the plant, the supply chain, everything could be a project for them. So now this is how the scale of these projects finally matter. And that is what is important in the understanding the term called program. So your program is not something small, something which is bigger than a project, but related to those projects which we are talking about. So there has to be something common in all those things which we are talking about, and that's why the term used is the relationship. Is the relation here. Related projects, they all work towards one common goal. Now, if all these projects are being run independently, hypothetically, there will be replication of certain resources or certain skill sets. Can somebody help me with some examples here? If you run through the same example, what kind of skill set would be duplicated? Overlapping skills between these fields, these areas. Anybody? How about testing group? The testing group is the most common overlapping skill which will be needed across all. Very common scenario we see across multiple domains.
DevOps.
Okay. So if we were to look at it in a consolidated way and say, can we optimize? So that is where the benefits of those things need to be looked at. And that is what the definition is all about from a program perspective. When you look at the scale of operations and you realize There are overlapping skills and overlapping admin roles are also coming into play. Can we not optimize and ensure that we gain the benefits of scale and we have people being utilized to their fullest extent? So that is how the meaning of that is clearly coordinated way to obtain the benefits and control which are not possible when you run them in a disjointed way or totally isolated way of work. So that is the primary advantage of putting them into a program. And this is what we all strive to do when we work with various customers. We look at first gain a foothold or a toehold in the customer's business organization, and then we see, okay, what are the related areas we can um, support them, encourage, partner them, and develop those areas. So this is how that it grows. A project grows into one or more projects, and then you see, okay, let us make somebody who understands that entire ecosystem better as the program manager, because somebody who knows the interplay across all these areas, and that is how the growth happens. This is an organic way of growing, which happens in terms of projects towards programs. Okay, let me take a pause. Any questions or any examples people would like to share around this based upon your own environment or businesses you are into? Maybe end user, maybe providing service providers. Somebody talked about DevOps, a good example. So how many of you understand DevOps? What does that mean? Or for the gentleman who spoke about it, can explain.
Yeah, in maybe like IT industry, someone who take care of setting up things to release the product, like pipeline or something. The person who can coordinate with multiple team to send their deliverable in some environment. So those kind of person can do the activity across multiple teams.
Okay. There is another way we can look at DevOps. See, there is a development team and there is a support team. Now, when development happens and it gets moved into production or when it becomes go live, there are issues typically which come up. Now, those issues are logged as tickets or various scenarios in which you manage issue management or ticket management. Now, the knowledge you need to resolve these tickets is not far different from the people who were working on the original development. And ideally, the people who developed the product or the solution are the best guys to understand what could be the issue reported in live environment. So that is how the evolution has come in, from where you bring in a good mix of people from both teams together and manage. So that has come up to the term what is called as DevOps, which is actually a short form of development and operation. So it is actually the acronym of that. Development and operations put together has become DevOps. So here you are optimizing the management bandwidth, putting everybody under one umbrella. You are also sharing resources between development and support. So all these are possible, and you are able to deliver better cost arbitrage, especially when you are talking about multiple 24/7 support if you are trying to give to the customer across the globe. So these are environments where this makes a lot of sense for the service provider. Any other example? Any other example?
So facility manager.
Yeah, can you explain? It would help if you could elaborate on it.
So facility management means once the campus is ready, then one engineer or one management will take care of for all the aspects like mechanical, electrical, civil, for the maintenance of that campus. That is called facility management.
Okay. So now, are we talking about shared services there? Is it a shared service there?
Yeah, yes, sir. That's like, for example, if there is some problem in the AC, then one guy will come and that guy will repair the AC. And if the same problem is for some mechanical issue also, then the same guy will solve that problem also.
Okay, good. Good if you have somebody who is multi-skilled. That is the challenge we see normally in our environment. Okay, good if you have it. Fine. So Anybody else wants to add about their own experiences around to relate to about scale of operations and how you can relate to this definition of project versus program, and you are able to get the benefits either as a customer or as a service provider? Now, let me ask you something. Look at the restaurant business. When do you think this takeaway business started booming? When did it start off booming?
After the COVID, sir.
COVID and after the COVID, correct? So every nook and corner, customers, restaurants were all running well, but they were all expecting people to walk in, use the dining option and do it. Now the business changed and then they started what? Takeaway. Now to run the takeaway business, did they set up a new facility? Did they do anything different?
No, sir. No problem. Probably not.
Yeah. So this is a good example for you to look at. What did they do? They just partnered with some delivery partner, or they set up their own delivery boys, a network there. You call up or you use an app to do the booking. And so now they have two streams of business, right? Two revenue streams running. All of these restaurants have got two revenue streams running now. Even any shop, any small restaurant or a large restaurant you will see this model working. And where did they learn from? They learned from that quick service restaurant, QSR, that was called as, right? Like all the Domino's, McDonald's, and all those guys which started with that model. Now that has expanded. People have been smart enough to learn from them also, and they have learned that they can have an additional revenue stream for the same investment they have done. The same place, the same location, everything is the same, but it is their brand which is selling it. The quality of their food, their local recall which people have. So they are offering that advantage to the local population. So this is how you have to look at. So now are you able to connect what do you mean by a program now versus a project? So you see how this got extended. Now you may challenge me that this is not a program, this is operation, fine. But then when they set it up, what happens? Then they hand it over to operation. Typically a project and a program is what? Initiating a change, setting up, making it operational, and then handing over to regular operations or support or business continuity, whatever we call it. So that is how these models have all come up. So that is another example for you to reflect on. Simple example, you can connect these stories. So this is how it is, program and project. So now what happens next? So now what is the third term? What is called as a portfolio? How does this differ from the others? Now the primary attribute of a program is that there has to be something common which connects all those projects, individual projects, towards the common parameter, and you are able to get the economies of scale. Okay. Now this is possible at all levels. Imagine a company which is growing, you are setting up new businesses, you are winning new contracts, you are with the same customer or with new customers, similar projects, all that. Now the difference for you. You are winning projects from different customers, but businesses are of the same nature. The services or the products what you are developing is of the same nature. That's not different, but you are catering to different market segments. You are catering to different geographies, let's say. So what happens? So look around you, all the companies which have grown. They all started with one product line, then they expanded, then they went further into it. So now the same example which I told you about the restaurant business, when you did that was a program, but when you went into operations, you are becoming a portfolio now for you. So your portfolio business is all about managing 2 or 3 different lines of business, but contributing towards your own organization's strategic view. What is your mission statement? What is your mission of your organization? Are all these businesses, all these operations contributing to that goal, what you have set for yourself? That is what it means as a portfolio. Yeah, portfolio is alignment to the long-term strategic plan. So now let us expand the story and see how you are able to relate to these. So in the construction business, you have somebody building only one building, let us say. Then he builds a township. Okay. Then what happens? So the township is of what category? Residential category. Then he builds a mixed use township, which becomes a commercial, some residential. Then he ends up building a corporate structure. But it's all what? All construction business only, nothing different. But what is needed, the expertise needed across all these three, are they the same? You may say, yes, it is all nothing different. They are all construction only, what you need to do. But as a customer, would you agree? The kind of quality you expect in a residential building versus a corporate building or versus a commercial building? Okay, there's one response which says no, that obviously there are different requirements or different attributes which you need to look at. But the underlying business model is what? It's all construction only. They are into construction. And now if I tell you he has decided to diversify not just into buildings now, he is moving into infrastructure business, building roads, building bridges, flyovers, building expressways. So now that is also construction work. So now you see there is no relationship between the infrastructure business or the commercial models or the residential models, but they are all largely classified into what the industry construction work. So this is how the growth happens of organizations and how they establish and then pick up new avenues for development. Now, what is the driver for all this? Their core strengths, which they have gained, the expertise they have established with their initial projects or with their initial endeavors, they have that faith that they can succeed. Okay, let's take the same example of that restaurant which we talked about. A small restaurant which starts business, dining business, or maybe let's say a roadside shop, then he grows into a dining area, then he establishes takeaway, then he sees potential for what? Banquets. Okay. So what is a banquet service versus a dining service? You know the difference, right? Primarily, you need a large area to cater to. Then you need the staff to service them. Then there is a duration for which it gets occupied. But is it continuous business for him from a banquet business if you look at it as compared to the restaurant business? In restaurant business, he will get footfalls every day practically. And have you seen any restaurant closed for any day of the week? They work 24/7, 365 days. Sorry, not 24/7, at least 20/7 and 365 days. What about the banquet business? It is not running 24/7. It doesn't run all 365 days. So there were specialists earlier who used to conduct all these called as events and event management and all this. But now all these mid-sized organizations have also decided to capitalize on that business. They have the space. So how do you think all these lawns came into play? How many of you are able to relate to this business model now? Especially in the winter, around the wedding season. When is the wedding season? Diwali till Sankrant probably. That season is over as of now. But if you recall, I assume many of you are from Pune and North India, so you will relate to this. There are a lot of lavish weddings happening in open air grounds, right? Have you seen that? So what is that? They are all specialized people. But now what has happened? Gradually it is getting transformed into people who are running their own restaurants, also having these additional business lines for them. Now they are selling everything as a package together. So this is how the portfolios grow. They become now event managers or wedding planners or whatever you call them. So now from the automobile example which we talked. Now can you look at any of these large automobile companies in India? What do you see? Anyone? Can you relate to that? You take any of these 3-4 names which are well known in India, look at them and see how do you think their business lines are. Can anybody talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, if you see the Tata, Then gradually they start for themselves only, but later they took over the Jaguar and Land Rover. So there is now combined Tata plus JLR plants
Yeah.
where they do their own products with the cluster names.
But there is nothing common between these two brands, right? What they have established. One is a
Yes.
uber luxury brands which they are selling. Their clientele and the market is totally different. And the Indian models which they are selling. Now they have
Right.
also further segmented it into electric and the fossil fuel section. Electric is also a separate division for them. Okay. So this is how the portfolio. Now, but what is the advantage they have? What is it they are building on? What was their foundation on which they built these businesses? They have been in the business of passenger vehicles since long. They know how it works. What does it take to run it? And then they evolved along with the changing business environment, changing customer requirements, and then they evolved it and captured the niche market. Especially, they are the leaders now in the electric segment today. And if you recall, 10 years ago, they were all struggling. Tata is a classic example of renaissance or revival you could talk about, especially in the passenger vehicle market. They have been doing good in the commercial vehicles market. They never had that challenge. But they actually rebuilt themselves, reinvented themselves in the passenger vehicle market. And also in the buses segment. So you can see these are all some of the examples which you can relate to understand these terms, what it means between a project, a portfolio, and a program. What is this? When we throw around these words, we have to understand that it's all about scale of operation. Now, this is why I showed you that picture at the beginning. Now, what happens is you need a lot of people to run it. It doesn't happen by itself. The project itself needs some size. So a program needs a bigger size. A portfolio needs definitely a much bigger size to run. So therefore, organizations also end up growing when they do it. But what is the bottom line? You need to ensure that they are all aligned towards your organization's goal. What is your strategic vision you have thought about for your organization? Are they aligned? So you cannot allow to deviate from your strategic vision. So this is all about definition. Now we are going to take a few minutes to run you through with some examples which we have to help you relate to the story, some organization structure from our Indian industry. So any questions before we move here? I hope all of you have got some clarity when we discussed these now. What is a project, what is a program, and all that stuff. Now, do we have a consensus that operations are also part of what? Portfolio or a program? Okay, good. So there are good responses now. They are all part of your portfolio, not necessarily the program. It doesn't come part of your program. It's all about portfolio. So it can be seen in your org structure as part of your portfolio. Okay, now this example is about ONGC, a well-known Navratna in our Indian environment. We have picked up the data which is publicly available in the internet. I am not privy to their internal org structure. This is posted in the internet itself, so I just picked it up for your understanding. So what do you see when you look at this such a picture? What is your reading of it? It's a giant organization, correct? You understand that the scale is too big. So are you able to relate to some of those names which are quoted here? Like, for example, on the left side, production. Okay. So Mumbai High, Hira, Neelam, these are all names of the oil fields which are now already into operations or production. Now look at this and look at the exploration. So explorations are all what? Projects. What is production? They are all operations for this. Already producing oil and gas. Here in exploration, you are you are going ahead with a plan to commission that. Okay. Then there are other streams like your HR stream, P&FS group, then finance group. So this is how the structure is built, and you can see there will be groups further divided into programs and projects. So the higher level view is always you will see about as a portfolio view. I am not privy to the further details. When you dig this further deeper, you will see those structures around grouped around programs and projects. You will get to see that. So let's see another domain. How many of you are, is anybody here part of hospital or medical line? Anybody in this group who could help us or who could contribute? Okay, I don't see anybody responding. Fine. So good. Oh, thank you, Sonal. Can you relate to this and help us out to understand where operations and projects kind of stuff will fit in? If you can speak up. Okay, I think she may be having some issues on audio. Fine. So let me try. I have taken again a picture and I will give you my interpretation of this. So you have the CEO at the top. So obviously he has a portfolio to run. Then you have people under him, the heads of various departments. Yeah, okay, understand, Sonal. Fine. So she has some audio related issues here. Fine. So you can see here internal medicine. Okay, one. There is a surgical group. There is an emergency department. The emergency, you understand the concept of triaging. We also do triaging in any project. We talk about triaging. So there is an emergency department. Now, what is the beauty of an emergency department or an intensive care department? Can you live with one homogeneous skill set? It is all about projects there. Life saving is also a project. Every life saved is a project successfully done. So it is all about triaging, which means bringing different skill sets. For any operation, for that matter, you need an anesthetist, you need the anesthetist is required, there is an internist, there is a doctor with internal medicine, there is a surgeon, then you have the nursing staff, you have the other support staff. So you have got a lot of people coming together. So obviously it has to be seen as a project being done there. But we don't look at it that way, right? Day to day, we never imagine that, oh, there are so many projects which are running there. So now, what about programs there? So look at it when it comes to scale, how will they be looking at programs there? What are the learnings they will take and move on further? So there is something called as intensive care, then there is IPD, OPD, a lot of other stuff would be there, which they are not shown. It's just an extract of something at the higher level. So now there is a diagnostics group also. Okay. So there are people here who will be talking about various diagnostic tests which are getting run for the inpatients, outpatients, and all that stuff. So hospital is also not a small business, it's a huge business nowadays. So imagine at your end what happens when you go through as a patient, what all channels you have to go through and figure out. The top level you never interact with the HR officer, chief financial, or all those people, but you are interacting at least at the levels down. So that gives you a sense of how businesses are run even in such organizations. Now there are new initiatives there always to be run. So those will be run as projects and programs in a bigger scale. Now what about the portfolio there? Now many multi-specialty hospitals you are seeing, right? So that multi-specialties are nothing but portfolio, because each specialization has got their own stream of in-house doctors, visiting doctors, and affiliations to various other institutes, all that stuff. Now I'm going to something which is commonly known to everybody, one of the most valuable companies in India, TCS. What do you see here? Yes, go ahead.
Sir, does it mean that we can say portfolio is at a scale of the organization, if we talk about portfolio, it means it's the top level of organization. Then it can be further divided into different sub portfolio and all.
Correct. Correct.
It's always at the organization level.
Yeah, it is always at a higher level. Correct.
Okay.
It
Thank
is always at a higher level. That is important.
you. Okay.
So, for example, if you are a CEO of a small company and different streams of business you are running, that is a portfolio for you. That is a portfolio you are managing. Or let me say simply, I forgot a good example which all of you can connect. What is your finance portfolio, each one of you? Are you putting all eggs in one basket in terms of investment? Do you? I'm sure nobody does that. Okay. So you have a mix of investment options or investment tools to ensure your future is protected. So, for example, you have your savings account, some funds lying there. You have your fixed deposits or some investments in companies, corporates, which gives you some decent returns, but not great returns. Then you may have a good risk appetite. You may want to invest some things in equities, some things in mutual funds, and in India, gold is a big thing. So some percentage of investment goes into gold. And finally, all of us rather, aspire to invest in property. Now, this together is your portfolio. All of them put together is a portfolio. But why are they different? Because the nature of returns which you get is different from different. The risk appetite which is involved is different. The duration of holding which is needed is different. So you cannot club all of them. So that's why they are all different. But what is common among some of them? The fixed income group, for example. You could invest in fixed deposits in banks, fixed deposits in companies, or fixed deposits in the post office, or you could put it in the government, NBFCs, what we call as non-banking organizations. So here, that is what becomes a program for as something which have got a common attribute, and you are clubbing them together. So as a customer, this is what you look at. Look at the loan portfolio of a bank. You have got personal loan, corporate loan. There are other loans, educational loans. Those are all things which you can compare for your understanding how that works. So now, how do you see TCS now? Why I picked up TCS? Because it has got some unique attributes. It is not a pure service company. It is not a pure product company. It has got both together. And thirdly, it is also into consulting business. So it's a huge organization having multiple business divisions put together. So some of the products are listed there. So the way they manage these different streams are going to be different internally. But the portfolio is really big. That's what you get to see here. The whole portfolio of business which TCS operates. The same example you could look at all of your Indian FMCGs, which have grown all over the globe. You can look at Hindustan Lever. I have an example of Marico here for you next coming up. Then Colgate or any big names you talk about, you will see all these similar lines of thoughts you will figure that in terms of portfolio of business for you to understand. Okay, now a typical manufacturing plant, how is that organized and how do they look at things? So now they are organized primarily from an operations standpoint. So that portfolio is primarily to ensure business runs without any disruptions. And they continue to produce day in, day out. Now, in such a scenario, how do you think projects will run? Last week, somebody had a question, right? How do I interact with the IT industry? How do I work? Because I am primarily from a legacy world. So let's see that. Oh, I forgot to bring that picture here. Yeah, I forgot to bring that. Sorry about that. So here, when you were to execute a project, what would happen is you will have, let me draw that. So you will have a project manager who will involve people from supply chain, who will invite people from procurement, who will invite people from materials management, who will bring in people from order management stuff or from production line also. There could be design groups, all that stuff. That is how the project team will be formed. Now, large organizations themselves have their own project teams nowadays if they are into continuous new product development. That is the NPD groups. NPD department is also there nowadays. So there you will find people who are already skilled project managers, and they will coordinate and work with all the respective skill sets from all other departments or divisions to manage their projects. So look at Marico, another example which I was talking about, something big. Now globally, they are organized by, this is across the globe, their presence is there throughout the globe. And look at their product lines on the right side. Now, it is not necessary that all these product lines need to be sold everywhere or manufactured everywhere. It is their business call. So this is their portfolio on the right side. This is what I wanted to highlight. This is their portfolio which they are running, product portfolio. And their org structure is here. So success is all about bringing a good marriage between the product portfolio and the org structure that is aligning to the requirements of the local businesses. They would do their market study, so they will run various projects when they enter into a new region. First is a feasibility thing. Can they get the required raw materials there? Can they get the required permissions to set up a plant, make it operational? Then what is the demand there? Does it make sense to deploy local people? What is the local skill available? What kind of investments are needed to market and sell it there? Or look at the example of Foxconn. I hope people know the name Foxconn, the largest outsourced OEM for Apple. Foxconn is not selling anything by themselves. They sell it to some other people, the labels, and the labels are marketing their product. So that is another business model for you. Now this is one of the more well-known project organizations, projectized organizations in India, L&T. Look at their divisions. So they're huge portfolio now. They are into buildings. They are into this kind of business, water and effluent specialization, power, heavy civil infrastructure, transportation, minerals and metals. Then they are into IT also. That's there in the next page. So they have got a specifically project division called as development project. There is another still going on. I have not captured the whole thing. Still there are many more pages left to look at it. This is also available public domain. If you want to, anybody is interested can download it. So look at their organization. This has really grown. So L&T Mindtree, their software division, L&T Technology Service, they all come part of this larger portfolio for them. We can look at Reliance. We can look at Adani now. All of them will have similar structures from a portfolio standpoint. So just a quick glimpse for all of you to help you relate to those terms and understand where you are. Now, this is an example of a construction company. I talked about this. So services, commercial, industrial, and traffic signal example here. Then there is something which is a common service across all these. The accounting department, the legal department, all those guys. Okay, so we have given you a glimpse of they are portfolio, not different portfolio. That is the portfolio. Within portfolio, you have got names. Each one is named according to the nature of business which you do. The portfolio is a collection. Simple word of a portfolio, it is a collection. For example, you may take a set of pictures of yourself, then that will be called a portfolio, your portfolio. If you are interested in modeling or showcasing yourself, that's what they call it. Do you have your portfolio? So that is a good example to understand. Okay, so these are a few more you can share, you can pick up any more. Anybody wants to add any other examples? I thought whatever was known to me and which I am comfortable, I shared. I would encourage others also to talk about their own organizations or their own experiences in terms of understanding these terms. Open to Q&A and open to even general remarks and observations also. So does this help you? These kind of short sessions which we talk about. We will take some similar topics next time. And I encourage people to even volunteer to speak, not just even here. You are all welcome to contribute and also talk about your areas of interest and come back to us. So we will encourage you or support you in terms of how to apply for.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, just I wanted to clarify that what I understand from this webinar is portfolio management is a bigger picture of management objectives, which is
Correct.
working maybe in different business
Yeah.
units,
Correct.
and subset of that is program management, which is within the company or maybe in a working level there be a program management,
Correct.
and further subdivided if required we do project
No.
management within a company.
So the way you look at it matters. So that is why that first picture was important. Where do you stand? If you're standing at the top, you will call it as sub-projects, sub-programs, and sub-portfolio. But if I'm standing at the bottom of that hierarchy, for me, that is a project, program, and a portfolio.
Okay, sir. Understood.
So it's all about perspective. Where do you stand in that structure? That is how it helps you to understand.
Okay, sir. But in some cases, in some companies, if there is a program management, there won't be a project management.
No.
It's contradictory, maybe.
No, that is not true.
Yeah.
If there is a program manager, definitely there will be some project managers reporting to them.
Right, but in case of that, I'm working in Tyson Group, but we have only project management team. In
You
that,
you are working in Tyson Group.
Tyson Group, yes, sir.
Okay.
So we have a project management department. We have a project manager individually handling the projects.
Correct. So when you are individually handling projects, maybe you are working with outside vendors, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are a project manager because you have outsourced the work to so many vendors. So you are a project manager within the organization. Okay.
Yes,
now
sir.
let me ask you something. You are reporting to somebody in your organization.
A VP, sir. Vice
You are
President.
reporting to VP, correct?
Yeah.
So it is a project group by itself, right? All of you are project managers.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Correct. Now there is possibility that you and couple of other colleagues are working for the same customer.
Possibly, sir.
Possible. Now there is a possibility that there is no relationship to the work which you are doing with others, or there is a relationship between what you are doing and the other guy is also doing.
Understand. Okay.
That is, then if there is a common goal, then that is a program. If there is in common, then it is a portfolio.
Okay, understand.
Okay.
Understand. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
So Tyson Group is into all lot of well-known elevators and escalator models, no?
Yes, sir. And I'm into the boiler division.
So you are into boiler division, but
Actually,
in the world they realize that you are into conveyor belts, you are into escalators, a lot of metros. Now you can see Tyson Group everywhere.
Yes, sir. Yes.
No, but when
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Somebody has asked the question: a program manager can also be a project manager. Possible, but it depends. Then you are doing a dual role? Is that the scenario? Because if you are managing a program, then you have people under you who are managing the individual components. So that is why you are a program manager. You are managing a set of coordinated projects. That's why you are a program manager. So for example, I was managing a client where I was managing the development stream, I was managing the middleware stream, and I was managing the support also. So the definition for me was wrongly given, labeled as a program manager. Ideally, it is a portfolio manager, because I got three different distinct areas which we were looking at, and three different technologies, everything different. And finally, the infrastructure also rolled up under me. So it's all just the same customer, So therefore, they decided to call it as a program because it is a customer you are serving. But if you look at the nature of work which we were doing, there was hardly anything common there because the middleware had a different requirement. The support model was different. In case if you are doing a DevOps, I explained about development and support together, then that becomes logical reasoning to call it as a program manager, grouping together. So there has to be something logical to combine, to coordinate and talk about. Then that is the right way to look at it as a program. Okay. So generally you will see portfolio by customer, by region, by business division, by product line, all that stuff.
In case of EPC project,
Yeah.
there is a basically stakeholders which have equal right to talk about how the project will go.
Correct.
And then in that scenario, the portfolio management becomes some 2-3 projects you are managing at a time.
Yes, correct. Definitely.
So my question is that how he will understand the need and how he will be able to deliver in case of EPC project. Because engineering is done by the one stakeholder, whereas the client has a say, or the vendor also has a say that this is possible, not possible kind of thing. So what methodology one should adopt, that is what I...
Yeah, so there is no different methodology there. Whatever you adopt for projects, the similar methodology will be there. But you have to understand the hierarchy there for the program manager. If somebody or the project portfolio manager there, not a program manager, you have got a portfolio manager. So somebody who is at a higher level. Now, who is responsible for that individual project which you were talking about? There would definitely be a project manager under him or her who will have full understanding about the project. He would be consulting this project portfolio manager what should be the right way based upon their experience in the past or with other projects in the organization, how you have handled it, how we should handle this issue. How do I handle conflicts of stakeholders here? Which approach should I take? So generally, a portfolio manager is generally senior to the project manager. So for him, the interest level is more on the revenue, bottom line, top line, alignment to the project, of the project to the organization, the strategic goals, how things have to run. That is how their goals are, primarily. Not at the day-to-day operation.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thanks for I can understand people's pressure. They have other commitments, so some of them are dropping off. I'm okay with that. Thank you for being there, sparing 1 hour of your valuable time for us and contributing. So please continue to post or send it in WhatsApp or in your email, your ideas and suggestions. Your feedback is always welcome to make it more interesting and more engaging for all of us going ahead. Because as you know, this is just a fresh beginning for all of us. In the second episode, so we would like to hear your honest feedback. We are here to improve. Take your feedback positively, and we want to improve on it as we deliver better. So thank you all. Look forward to the next week's session.